I am Rishabh Gulati. We've taken it upon ourselves that instead of sitting here and ululating about the BBC, which will run its own agendas, and like it or not, I can think of several friends and colleagues who happily take money from them and work for the BBC, who haven't quit in the past 24 hours, because as Gandhi once told us, you cannot govern a country by 40,000 British with a population of 300 million if the 300 million refuse to cooperate. So the propaganda that is expounded upon us has the complicity of many of us, which should drive us in shame. So we can beat our chests and say ban them and censor that. That's never a solution. The truth in the Gandhian, most Gandhian of ways is the solution. I've spent the course of the day pointing out that while the British, in their own quasi-colonial ways, are investigating what they call is ethnic cleansing happening in this country, 1,000 years of history of ethnic cleansing, to the point that they would put the Nazis to shame with the levels of exterminations of the Jews, the Catholics, the Muslims, and not just in ancient history. You can count Northern Ireland and Iraq to the most recent of them. Well, now here is an operation of an individual. Let's put this image on our screens and give you a representation. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Rudyard Kipling. Now, Rudyard Kipling spent a lot of time writing stories and novels about India, many of them children's stories. He is the man of Uncle Bob, if you've heard the British aphorism, Bob's your uncle, of Kim, the famous children's books. And many of his stories are placed in India and in Pakistan, of what is now modern day Pakistan, Afghanistan, then undivided India. This is Rudyard Kipling. So now you can recognize his bespectacled face. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is something worth looking at. I'm going to open. Can we zoom in to the top? Can you get to the top band so I can show the top, please? Yeah, if you can read the exact top of your screens. Let me see if I can zoom into this. Forgive me, I'm not being able to. What I've highlighted at the top of our screens here, this is the NCERT, which to the best of my knowledge, I don't know what my producers are doing. They're trying to squeeze the image there so you can see it better. And they're failing magnificently. Somebody who can understand what I'm saying will have to help them out. So this is the ncert.nic.in/textbook/PDF. NCERT, to anybody who studied in India, would recognize it as the National Council for Educational Research and Training. These are the guys who publish the textbooks for your CBSE board exams. Okay? And I remember this, hence it was not difficult to find. This is the story of how the camel got its hump. It's taught in class 8. Okay, it's a very nice story about, this is the beginning of the world in a very Christian sense, and the animals are beginning to work for man, and there's a camel who doesn't have a hump, but he keeps saying hump, hump all the time, and eventually gets hump. Okay, it's meant to teach you a lesson. This is the NCERT, so Rudyard Kipling stories being taught to people like me. Here's another one about Tricky, a small dog, and Mrs. Pumphrey, why she's worried about Tricky. Here's another poem that is taught to our children. It's the poem called If, a didactic poem written by Rudyard Kipling, well-known poem, gives sound advice to young people for a successful life. It is considered the most beloved poem of Kipling. The poem is addressed to Kipling's son John. The theme of the poem is manhood and leadership. The word if is repeated to describe each action that should or should not be done. Also taught to our children. This is Rudyard Kipling. Now, let's take this away from our screens, okay, and tell you a story about Rudyard Kipling. I repeat, Satyagraha, the truth shall set you free. It's 1919. It's Amritsar. Reginald Dyer has just gone with his troops, Indian troops mind you, into Jallianwala Bagh. They have fired till the last bullet. The ammunition is over, and there are hundreds and thousands of people, women and children, lying dead. Some have jumped into the well. Court-martial is convened. Dyer is unapologetic, and he says on record that if he could kill more had he had more ammunition, he would have kept firing. If he could have taken the machine gun and the armored carrier inside, he would have used it. He returns to England, after which a Dyer, D-Y-E-R, a Dyer Appreciation Fund is started. It is started by Rudyard Kipling, who is one of the biggest donators, there he is, of the donations given to him. So once again I repeat, a massacre has taken place of Indians. Even the British authorities in India are appalled at what has happened. And they court-martial their general, who is unapologetic but is sent home in disgrace, and a retirement fund which is called a Dyer Appreciation Fund is set up. It is set up by Rudyard Kipling, and his stories are taught to our children today, including me. How the camel got its hump. Okay? This is how ingrained it is 80 years later. Okay? Now the question is, what do you do about it?
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.